Okay, let's talk about shame, baby. Okay, so I shared with you my fear and guilt story. Now I want to talk about my shame story. And this is shame is the main block of the Svadhistana chakra, the sacral chakra. So I'm just doing some hip circles right now. Loosening things up in here. Um, yeah, so when I did the unblocking process on my sacral chakra, the feeling that came up or the memory that came up, like this is so crazy because a lot of people say like I don't remember my childhood, and there's full on blocks that I don't remember of my childhood too. But my teacher always says like if your eyes were open, you were recording. So like it's in there somewhere. You just have to sit and say, I'm not getting up until you show me the first time we ever felt this. So when I did that, I had a memory come up that was when I was like a year and a half old. And it was like my dad was sitting on a couch and he was doing something. And I like walked up to him and you know how little kids are like, they can't walk very good. And so they grab stuff, and I like grabbed him and he like shoved me away and like pushed me down and I fell down. And so for me, the shame was I felt unwanted. That's the story that I wrote about myself, is like, I'm unwanted. I'm undesirable. Nobody cares about me. And man, that story has stuck with me. And it has played out and out in my relationships, particularly my romantic relationships, my relationships with men, and other figures of authority. Really, really big issues there. And which is really interesting because I have had tons of sexual trauma, like not only being molested by my brother, but I've been date raped. I used to drink all the time as a young teenager and in my early 20s. So I definitely, things happened for sure when I was passed out or, unable to fully consent. And so sometimes you think that it's going to be like one of these big, painful memories that comes up, but sometimes it's something kind of mundane and kind of insignificant. Not insignificant, but that's what the trauma is. It's the story that you write about yourself in response to something that happened to you. Um, and unfortunately, like the thing with my dad is like that's not something that was ever explained to me. I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. My parents divorced when I was really young, maybe 3 or 4. And my dad lived out of state my entire growing up. So I didn't really ever have a healthy relationship with a man that was like, I love you and I care about you. I had a garden variety of different stepdads, and they were all kind of there to just like put up with me. I don't feel like any of them were really like down for me, like wanted to be there, because they weren't there for me. You know what I mean? Like they were there for my mom. They weren't there for me. And I was very well just tolerated, and they were putting up with me, even though I was a pretty good kid because I was very quiet. That's another thing that I learned early on, was to just be quiet and not have any needs. And that's the best way to get some of your needs met and get attention, is because people don't want to be around you when you're loud or emotional. That's just inconvenient for everybody. So you should just put that somewhere where nobody has to deal with it and run away from it. And so that's what I did. That's what I learned how to do from a very young age, is um, pretend pretend that it's not there, or just run away from it, or mask, just mask and fawn. And so that is the story that I wanted to share with you today about when I unblocked my sacral chakra. And the thing about the sacral chakra is, my teacher always says that if you've had any sort of sexual trauma, like that's the one that you're probably going to have to work more than any of the other ones. Like, so we do this process, but obviously we're dynamic beings, and that doesn't mean that you're never going to experience this feeling again. It doesn't mean that you're never going to go through an adverse life experience again. It just is about how you are able to respond to life now. not operating from an outdated story. So, anyway, as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for honoring me with your attention. And I hope to see you soon.